My name is Linda McMahon, and I am the chair of the America First Policy Institute. I'm perhaps one of the few people who's been privileged to call Donald Trump a colleague and a boss, but he's also a friend. I first met Donald Trump when I was the CEO of World Wrestling Entertainment. For fun, he became part of some of the most compelling and highest-rated storylines in the company's history.
In another day of wild Trump cabinet picks, Linda McMahon, the wife of WWE CEO Vince McMahon, is on the short list to be the Secretary of Education, but as are so many of Trump's other picks, this one is fraught with scandal. McMahon has worked very briefly in education in the past, but her qualifications for the role even back then were called into question. In 2009, there was a hearing as to whether or not McMahon should serve in a higher-ranking education position on the Connecticut Board of Education while she was involved in the WWE. She was eventually confirmed to the state board, but her answers to questions about her background played a significant role in her confirmation. Later, those answers were found to not be entirely factual. For one, she claimed back then to have received a bachelor's degree in education, which was untrue. She had a degree in French, not quite the same thing. When a Harvard newspaper questioned McMahon about the discrepancy the following year, she resigned from her position on the board. She claimed that it was an innocent mistake, stating that she did have student teaching experience. Again, not quite the same thing as having a degree in education, and you would hope, of all people, that someone seeking the highest role in education in the country would understand the difference. The simpler explanation for all of this is just that she lied, but ultimately it probably doesn't matter because Trump is going to do whatever Trump wants to do, and his congressional lackeys will simply let him do whatever he wants to do. Apart from that one-year stint on the board, McMahon was once a trustee at Sacred Heart University in Fairfield, Connecticut. I had a dance recital there once, but that does seem to be the extent of her experience working in education. Meanwhile, we have seen recurring instances of sexual scandals with Trump's cabinet picks, and McMahon has found herself similarly engaged. Just last month, 5 former ring boys named both Linda and her husband Vince McMahon in a child sexual abuse lawsuit, along with the WWE and its parent company, TKO Group. The lawsuit alleged that from the 1970s all the way through the 1990s, former WWE announcer Melvin Phillips Jr. groomed and sexually assaulted the 5 claimants and other minors. The lawsuit also asserts that the McMahons knew about the assaults and did nothing about them. At one point, Phillips was fired from the WWE for his behavior, but he almost immediately got his job back by promising to behave, and of course he did not. Linda McMahon's lawyer had this to say about the lawsuit. She said, "This civil lawsuit, based upon 30-plus-year-old allegations, is filled with scurrilous lies, exaggerations, and misrepresentations regarding Linda McMahon. The matter at the time was investigated by company attorneys and the FBI, which found no grounds to continue the investigation. Ms. McMahon will vigorously defend against this baseless lawsuit and without doubt ultimately succeed." And whether or not you think a cabinet pick's partner should come under scrutiny, Vince's own record of sexual misconduct certainly isn't helping to endear the McMahons to the public as White House officials. Vince has been accused by a former WWE employee of sexual coercion, sexual assault, and sex trafficking. He is also being federally investigated regarding undisclosed payments of millions of dollars that he made to settle complaints of sexual misconduct and rape. Trump wants to gut the Department of Education anyway, so who cares who the secretary of it is? Nothing really matters anymore, it seems. And speaking of sexual misconduct from Trump's cabinet picks, Matt Gaetz has removed himself from consideration for the role of Attorney General because his own gross, alleged past, he says, is distracting the country from the real work that Trump wants to do. He is being the bigger man by choosing his country over his own personal ambitions. Of course, he has already stepped down from his seat in Congress, so we'll see where he goes from here. It is entirely possible that he's stepping down from this more public role just to take a more backseat role that's still somewhat influential. Of course, this stepping down came after congressional Republicans threatened to release damning information against Gaetz only for Marjorie Taylor Greene to threaten to release damning information about all of those Republicans if they did. Polling also showed that Gaetz was wildly unpopular with the public, so that may have been a contributing factor to his stepping down, but I don't personally believe that government officials actually concern themselves with public opinion anymore. Again, this all feels very 2016, but even more ridiculous now than it was back then. We're fully back in the Trump circus. We've been here before, so none of it should really be surprising. And I guess that's what the people who voted for Trump wanted. More of this insanity all over again. More of being constantly gaslit by things that just don't make sense, but people seem to be okay with all of it. Sexual misconduct, even rape that has been tried and convicted, doesn't seem to get people's attention anymore. They've become numb to it to the point that they just tell themselves the accusations, again, even the ones that have been tried and convicted, probably aren't true and it's all just political. These are the same people who are obsessed with the genitalia of children while also claiming to only ever care about the children. And this is our country now. All right, that is it for me. If you got anything out of this, please like the video and subscribe to the channel for more.